Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, whenever you may be watching this. It's night here out in Las Vegas. My name is JD, and I'm happy to bring you another edition of JD's Racing Wager Show. And this week we have a Martinsville race coming up, which is the shortest track on the circuit for those who may not be 100% familiar with NASCAR. And last week we went to Richmond, so we're keeping with the short track theme. Don't want to waste any time, so let's get to it. I was excited this week because BetMGM has posted some head-to-head matchups on Wednesday, which is great. It gives us time to get some picks in, do some pre-qualifying picks. And the first one I saw was Denny Hamlin versus Chase Elliott, two individuals with very successful Martinsville past. This week I'm choosing Chase Elliott in this head-to-head matchup. He has won a bunch of stages at Martinsville. He always seems to be in contention in the end, and I think he's going to have a strong showing this week. We also have Kyle Busch versus Kyle Larson, the battle of the Kyles. I like Kyle Busch. He does have Martinsville wins. I was watching some highlights of recent Martinsville races. When he doesn't have an issue, he's always at the front at the end. Martinsville is big on late race chaos. I expect some more of that this weekend, potentially. He's at minus 125 in this matchup. I think he's going to be the one who pulls it out. Additionally, he's going to be in the truck race, so he's going to be in that rhythm already come race time on Saturday. Next matchup is Joey Logano versus Christopher Bell. Got to go with Joey Logano on this one. He has won at Martinsville before. I like what I'm seeing from Christopher Bell this year. I think in this matchup, you do have to give the upper hand to the person with the more successful Martinsville record, which in this case is Joey Logano. Martinsville kind of favors Joey's aggressive racing style. If he's in contention at the end, he'll do whatever it takes to win, as he has shown us in the past. Next matchup, pains me to say, wearing this shirt, William Byron, I think, is going to finish better than Ryan Blaney this week. Blaney has been fast. He's won a lot of stages at Martinsville. He seems to fade towards the end. So maybe this week will be a turning point for him. It's only a 400-lap race as opposed to 500 laps, so the 500 laps is the standard. The shorter distance may help him close it out at the end. Just looking at last year, William Byron was strong at Martinsville. He led some laps, and I think he's looking pretty stout this weekend as well. And he's at plus 105, so you get a little bit of a deal betting on him in this head-to-head matchup. Alex Bowman versus Kevin Harvick. I think Alex Bowman is rated a little too high in this scenario because he was able to win last time out at Martinsville. He was at minus 135 in this matchup. I like what I'm seeing out of Kevin Harvick this year. He has won at Martinsville. He looked very fast at the end of Richmond, almost won that race. Thinking back to Bristol last year, he was competitive as well. Stewart-Haas doesn't look too bad at the short tracks. On that same vein, Chase Briscoe over Tyler Reddick is my next matchup pick. Chase Briscoe is at minus 115 odds in this situation. Looking at Tyler Reddick's finishes, he hasn't been great at Martinsville. He finished below Austin Dillon, his teammate, last time we were out. Chase Briscoe doesn't look great at Martinsville either necessarily. He was also a rookie last year in his only 2 starts. He's been faster at most places we've been to this year. I got to give him the edge in this matchup. I do like what I'm seeing out of Stewart-Haas. Continuing that, Eric Almirola, I have him this week over Kurt Busch at minus 110 odds. Kurt Busch has shown a lot of growing pains for the second team at 23-11 racing. I do think that continues this week. I don't think he's going to lose a fuel pump very early on in the race. Eric Almirola has a good amount of top 10 finishes this year. I could see him sneaking one out at Martinsville, and because of that, I'm thinking, like, if he finishes top 10, he's going to finish higher than Kurt Busch. So I don't expect to get a top 10 with that team at this point in the season, so I'm giving the edge to Stewart-Haas and Eric Almirola. My final matchup pick was Austin Dillon over Austin Cindric. I'm feeling fairly confident about this one. I've had to pick one to bet on this week. I choose this one. Austin Dillon has some top 5 finishes at Martinsville. It seems like when he doesn't get caught up in an accident, which has happened a couple times. Martinsville can have a very high attrition rate. He ends up being, top 5 sometimes, top 10 other times, top 20 almost every time he's not involved in an accident. And yeah, those are my matchup picks this week. The matchups are an area where I've had a lot of success since I started NASCAR sportsbook betting, which I actually started back in Daytona, which was the first race since I moved to Las Vegas. In North Carolina, sportsbook is not legal, and moving out here has given me the opportunity to dive in. I've been pretty well with matchups. I finished 4-2 on those last weekend at Richmond. This is a plug for my TikTok channel. The matchups came out like an hour before race day. I didn't want to do another video on the YouTube format, so I used TikTok. It's great for up-to-date updates. I'll be using it some this week, I'm sure. If we get any truck Xfinity Series matchups, any big odds changes after practice qualifying. So follow that. That is JD_NASCAR_wager. I also have a Twitter account. I believe that one is just JD_wager. You can find all these links on my social media, and if you're having any issues finding them, just reach out to me via direct private message, and I will get those out to you. Moving on to my next page in the notes, a little more organized this week. After the first week, it was a little raw. This week, I'm feeling more confident, more ready to deliver y'all some winning picks. And along with that theme, I'm going to throw in some top 10 options. For Boyd Sportsbook, which is the one that I've been using that has top 10 options, I didn't see any odds posted yet. They may come out, they may not. I just picked drivers who I think would be below the plus 100 threshold, or around that, like minus 110, minus 115. I can work with those two. Bubba Wallace, Brad Keselowski, and Ricky Stenhouse are my picks. With Ricky Stenhouse, I'm thinking back to that 47 team and how they used to pull out top 10s all the time here with Marcos Ambrose and also AJ Allmendinger. I think Ricky Stenhouse has struggled a little bit. I could see him sneaking a top 10. This week, I think that he's gonna get some throughout the year. I mean, that's gonna happen, and why not Martinsville? Bubba Wallace, this is one of his best statistical tracks outside of super speedways. He almost finished top 10 here. Last year had one of his best races with 23-11 Racing. Almost finished top 10 here with Richard Petty Motorsports. I foresee him getting a top 10 this week. And Brad Keselowski, I'm not 100% certain how the odds makers are going to look at him. Based on how he's ran this year, not really doing great at Richmond, I could see him being someone who will win you money if he were to get a top 10. I mean, he finished 13th at Richmond, so it was fairly close. Martinsville, he's had success here. It's one where the driver can kind of make up for the equipment a little bit. That team is going through a lot of growth right now. He has not had the finishes I'm sure he would want. He's still a championship winning driver, and this could be one of his flashes of brilliance this week. It's probably one of his better chances to show it to us. And again, with these top 10 picks, these are drivers who are not expected to compete for the win. They're long shots. They can get into the top 10. I'm not looking at, like the obvious choices. Your Kyle Busch's, Joey Logano, people like that who are not really going to pay well at the sportsbook because their odds are so good of actually getting a top 10. It's not worth it to put a bunch of money in because in NASCAR, a place like Martinsville, anything can happen. You get penalties here. They do have a bigger effect on the outcome of the race. You may lose a couple laps, and because of that, I don't think it's worth the risk for what should be a surefire shot when there is no surefire shots in NASCAR. So I'm going to pull up my Boyd's Sportsbook betting app for the next section of this, which is going to be group betting. I downloaded Caesars as well, so I'm trying to expand my sportsbook a little bit. I've been working on Boyd, now Caesars, and also BetMGM, which is my favorite. I just want to make sure that since I'm doing this, I can deliver you the best odds, the best options. If anyone has any suggestions, again, I'm in Nevada, so they have to be Nevada legal. Reach out, let me know. Let me know if I'm missing something. And my group bets for this week, in Group 1, we have Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Kyle Larson. I'm going to go with Kyle Busch for the same reasons that I went with him in the head-to-head matchup. He seems to always be in contention at the end when there's no issues, and he showed a lot of speed this year. He's had some good finishes. I see him contending. Group 2, we have Joey Logano, William Byron, Christopher Bell, and Alex Bowman. This was tough. I narrowed it down to Joey Logano and William Byron. Joey Logano has a win here. I just have seen a lot of speed out of William Byron. He was leading late at Richmond. He already has a win this year, and it was Atlanta, which is a completely different track. Looking back at his Martinsville finishes last year, he ran very well, and I do foresee that continuing into this year with the new speed they have too. I could see him finishing highest of the Hendrick cars, which would win him the stage. Joey Logano could always get in there too. I do have to make a pick, and it was a toss-up. I am leaning William Byron based on what I've seen this year. Group 3, we have Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, and Kevin Harvick. If I were to say which one I feel most confident about, I feel most confident about my Group 3 pick, which is Kevin Harvick. And he's actually listed at plus 270 on Boyd right now, which is great. That's wonderful odds to get into. He's got the past Martinsville success. He showed some speed last week. He's looked pretty good at short tracks. I have reason to believe that Kevin Harvick's going to have a strong performance this week, and looking at Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Brad Keselowski for all different reasons. Ross didn't run great at Martinsville last year. Tyler Reddick also was outperformed by his teammate. Brad Keselowski with his new team not really looking too racy in this early part of the season. Makes me feel very confident that all things considered, Kevin Harvick is going to be your Group 3 winner. And moving on, I see we're about 12 minutes, 40 seconds in. I'm going to give some long shots for my pick to win the Cup Series race. And we got Christopher Bell at 25-1. He looked pretty fast at Richmond. I've seen some speed out of that car this year. I could see him contending for the win. You know, pit strategy is a thing. Late race cautions, you never know who that could bring up to the front with the double file restarts. And he looked pretty good at Martinsville last year at 25-1. Not a bad deal. Kevin Harvick, 25-1 as well, for the same reasons I like him in Group 3. I like him as a long shot to make you some good money this week if you choose to go that route. And I always like to include a flyer. In this case, Eric Jones at 100-1. I think his odds should be better than that, which for us is a good thing. I mean, you can make some decent return on that if you want to just put one on a flyer. You know, Martinsville, anything can happen. Eric Jones has looked fast. He's a Cup winner. He's a good driver. That team has improved this year. At 100-1, I don't think it's a bad bet. So before I get to my Cup win, Trucks is tomorrow. Right now, all I see is the odds to win. So with that, I want to give some long shots and my 3 favorites to win. So long shots, I am looking at Stuart Friesen at 18-1. He's a solid short track racer. That team has looked pretty fast at times this year. He's a very aggressive driver. Martinsville favors aggressive drivers. I could see him doing anything to win at the end. And one I like too is Ty Majeski at 60-1. He's in top 10 in points. I think the odds makers are not really giving him as much credit for how he's done this year as he should be getting. He had a problem at Coda, otherwise he'd be much higher in the points too. And he's a good short track racer. I like what I'm seeing out of Ty Majeski this year. He could break through, and at 60-1 odds, it's a wonderful bet. Top 3 to win are Kyle Busch, John Hunter Nemechek, and William Byron. So William Byron is a 6-1 odds to win this week. Cup drivers have statistically done very well on the truck Martinsville race. He's driving the Spire Motorsports truck, getting some extra laps. He is a great driver at Martinsville. Driving in the truck series, I think these are decent odds to maybe get a 6 times your bet payout. JHN, John Hunter Nemechek, 5.5 to 1. He has not won this year. He's been close. He's been in contention when he hasn't wrecked or had problems with the truck. He was great at Martinsville when he drove for his dad's team, a more underfunded operation. I see him being strong this week. I think he's going to contend. Got to go with Kyle Busch, even at minus 135. He hasn't won a race this year. He's driving his own equipment. I think he's going to be very driven. He's came close. He almost won the race at Las Vegas. I was there in person. He's going to break through and do it this weekend. He has already won a couple clocks from the Truck Series. I think this weekend he gets another. I know the odds are, not favorable if you're looking to put in a little, make a lot. I think it's a pretty good bet, though, and I can't bet against Kyle Busch in the Truck Series at Martinsville. Moving on to Xfinity, Ryan Truex at 18 to 1. He's my favorite long shot pick this week. He looked pretty racy in his start at Las Vegas for Joe Gibbs, driving the 18 car, 18 to 1. Joe Gibbs racing is the class of the Xfinity. Well, that's debatable. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has done pretty good too. I mean, when you're in Joe Gibbs equipment in the Xfinity Series, you have a chance to win most of the time. Ryan Sieg, again, same reason as I liked him as a pick last week, 125 to 1. I thought the odds would get reduced. They actually went up, which is great for us. I mean, at those odds, that's such a steal. He was top 10 last week, ran competitive. Again, these are drivers I don't think are necessarily going to win. I don't see him getting that first career win this weekend. Martinsville, anything can happen, is given us unpredictable winners before. Moving on to my 3 favorites, the more predictable possible winners. Josh Berry, Daniel Hemrick, and Ty Gibbs. Oh, I did want to note on the Ryan Truex, Ryan Sieg bets, those were Caesars Sportbooks bets that are offering those odds pre-qual right now. Switching to Boyd Sportsbook, that gives you the best bet for Ty Gibbs at 5.5 to 1 odds, and I don't think he's raced at Martinsville, or maybe he has and did not compete for the win. I'm blanking on that right now. It doesn't matter where we go, though. Ty Gibbs is always a threat to win. He did it at Richmond last week, drove aggressive. He's shown he'll do anything to win, which goes a long way at Martinsville. Josh Berry, 6 to 1. I mean, he won this race last year, his first career Xfinity win. He's been decent this year. He could break through and take that next step to get his first win of 2022. Short track racer, raced late models. That's been well documented. 6 to 1. I like his odds. My pick to win this week is actually Daniel Hemrick, which he's 10 to 1. It's kind of a pick that is not on a lot of people's radar. Last year he was chasing down Josh Berry at the end of that race. He could not quite get there. He actually faded towards the end. I think he has shown to be a threat at Martinsville. And at 10 to 1 odds, I mean, that's a solid payout. I just think he's going to win. I think he's moved over to Collie. He's struggled a little bit so far. They do have potential to be a race-winning team. I think this is the week where he really shines and reminds us how he won that championship at the end of last year. Which leads me to the Cup predictions. So I've already mentioned my top 3. Actually, I don't think I have. I had them at the top of my note sheet. So things get out of order, all that good stuff. My top 3 are MTJ, Kyle Busch, and William Byron. And top 3 odds for MTJ are plus 195, Kyle Busch plus 270, plus 210 for William Byron. So they are top of the favorites list. It's not really a surprise, I mean, these are all drivers that have ran very well at Martinsville. William Byron recently, Kyle Busch in MTJ both have wins there. Looking at the odds of these three drivers, I had to pause there, so sorry if I lost my train of thought. I had to look up the odds. Martin Truex Jr.'s best odds right now are 5.5 to 1, and those can be found on Boyd. Kyle Busch is 10 to 1 across all sports books, and William Byron, I just had him pulled up. He's 12 to 1 on Boyd, and he is 10 to 1 on BetMGM, so Boyd's giving you some better odds on 2 out of those 3. I got Ryan Blaney's shirt right here. I have seen him have issues closing at Martinsville. It pains me as a fan. I don't think this week is his week. He has a couple stage wins there. Kyle Busch at 10 to 1 is going to be my pick to win. I think that this is the week where he gets that first win of 2022. He's always in contention at Martinsville unless something happens. I've seen a lot of speed out of that team. He's driving fired up after the penalty at Richmond last week. He had like a penalty in the closing laps, which dropped him from contention. He was actually running very well before that occurred, and Kyle Busch drives great when he's angry. He's going to have the laps in the truck series. For him, I do think, getting into that rhythm is helpful, especially at a track like Martinsville. I think he's going to pick up the truck win and follow it up with 2 out of 3 races on the weekend and pull off that Cup win. He's great on restarts. He drives aggressive. All of these are qualities that help you win the trophy at Martinsville, which is a grandfather clock for those who are not familiar. It's one of the most unique trophies in NASCAR. It has a lot of historical significance. Martinsville is one of the older tracks on the circuit, and I like Kyle Busch at 10 to 1. Again, William Byron and Martin Truex Jr. are the other 2 in my top 3, but KB is gonna pull one out. And with that, we're about 22 and a half minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and close this out by saying thank you to those who have watched this up to this point. If you have any suggestions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm open to comments, criticisms, just your thoughts. I want to hear some success stories too if you were able to bet on these drivers and have success. Again, I am all about accountability, so I will be posting a results video, win or lose. We let you know how it goes. For updates during the weekend, I really recommend following me on TikTok. I like that format for shorter videos. If we see any truck or Xfinity matchups, I'll be posting those. Qualifying changes to the odds, I'll be posting those all on the talk. So follow me there too. And with that, I want to wish everyone a great day, a great weekend, and let's go racing. It's going to be a fun one. And thanks again.